Welcome to the other episode of Talk with EMAS. Today, we are going to talk about the role of Bahasa Indonesia in everyday communication. I am Leah, and in this podcast, I am with our spectacular participant, Miss Susi. Hello, Miss Susi. How are you?
Hi, Miss Leah. I'm great today. How about you, Miss?
I'm pretty good today. Nice to see you again.
Yes, I'm happy to see you again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for the audiences who are still questioning about English Massive, I'll give you some information about that. EMAS or English Massive is an official English training program provided by Kediri City Government. This program is free for Kediri citizens. To get more information about us, you can visit our website at emas.pendidikan.kedirikota.go.id. This podcast is one of the new programs for post-advanced participants that focuses on the application of speaking skill. This podcast is released twice in a month on Spotify Talk with EMAS and our YouTube channel English Massive Kediri. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and follow our Instagram account at English Massive. Okay, now let's start this podcast.
English Massive Podcast. Talk with EMAS.
Welcome back, Miss Susi. How's your feeling to have this session again with me?
Yes, I'm very happy, Miss, and I'm very excited, of course. It is our second podcast, right?
Yes, this is our second podcast after we have the third episode of our podcast that talk about busy versus effective.
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's right. And today we are going to talk about the role of Bahasa Indonesia in everyday communication. All of us know that our beloved country, Indonesia, has various languages that are used in every province. Yet, in conducting communication across the province, Indonesian language is used as the national language. Talking about the history of Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Indonesia is the official language of the country that was born at October 28, 1928, and inaugurated as the national language after the proclamation of Indonesian independence on August 18, 1945. That is the history of Bahasa Indonesia that I knew. How about you, Miss Susi?
Yes, all of us know that Bahasa Indonesia used by Indonesian people since Sumpah Pemuda moment, or we can say out of youth, right?
Yeah.
And since that moment, Bahasa Indonesia become official language of our country, so we can use it in a formal occasion, like that, Miss.
Yeah. And as the other language, Bahasa Indonesia also has progression. And talk about the progression. What do you know about the progression of Bahasa Indonesia?
I think because of Indonesia is a developing country, so the language also follows the development of citizen. I think so.
I agree with you. As I read in an article, Bahasa Indonesia is experiencing some developments. We can see these developments from the Congress of Language, starting from the first Language Congress in Solo in 1938, which resulted in the forerunner of the Indonesian language today. The second Indonesian Language Congress in Medan in 1954 in order to establish the spelling of the Indonesian language. The Language Congress in 1972 on the administration of EYD or ejaan yang disempurnakan as a reference for the Indonesian language and language that held every 5 years. Seeing this, we can conclude that Bahasa Indonesia is always evolving and keeping up with the changing time. So I think I do agree with your statement. And this one, Bahasa Indonesia is very important in our communication. That's right.
Yes, right.
Yeah. When we met the other people from the other province, from the other tribes, we use Bahasa Indonesia, right?
Yes.
And in your opinion, what is the important role of Bahasa Indonesia in our everyday communication?
Yes, I think Bahasa Indonesia is very important in communication. Why? As we know that Indonesia has various tribes and languages. So we need something to unite our nation. And something to unite our nation is Bahasa Indonesia. So we can communicate with everyone from the other tribes wherever we are by Indonesian language. I think so, Miss.
I do agree with you because without the bond of Bahasa Indonesia, it will be hard for us to send message and to build communication with the other people from the other place because every tribe in Indonesia has their own language.
Yes, right.
And in Bahasa Indonesia, we know that we have standard language or Bahasa Baku and casual Indonesian language. But in communication, the casual language is commonly used to have conversation because there is a paradigm that standard language or Bahasa Baku is too formal to use. What's your opinion about that?
Yes, I think it is because of our habit and also the situation around us. So, as we know that casual language is easily to be used because our partner use the same language. But in a formal occasion, we have to use standard language, not casual language. I think so, Miss.
Yeah. And maybe we can change the paradigm if we find some tips how to use standard Bahasa Indonesia or Bahasa Baku in friendly way. Maybe do you have some to use friendly Bahasa Baku?
Okay, I have watched a video, and at that video mentioned that there are 5 tips to use friendly Bahasa Baku. Namely, number 1 is diction. Diction is the way to choose the appropriate word in communication. And then number 2 is structure. So we must understand the other structure of Bahasa Baku so we can choose the simple one in communication. And number 3 is intonation. We use correct word stress and control the voice. And number 4 is fatis. Fatis is a class of words tasked with starting, maintaining, and strengthening communication between the speaker and the listener, and it's usually found in the connect of dialogue.
Oh yeah, talk about the point number 4. I have heard about that. In Indonesia, there are some fetish that can be used to make our communication, our dialogue soften, such as de, such as or e, like that one. Maybe
Yes.
there's those words when we want to know the exact meaning of those words in a dictionary or KBBI, we cannot find the real meaning, or we cannot find the meaning, but those words help us to make our communication, our dialogue soften, like that one.
So we can say that fetish used to express our emotion, right?
Yes, that's right. When we use the fetish, we can show our emotion to the partner, to our partner when we have the people, right? Such as when we use fetish A, it will be different when we use fetish O, like that one.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
What about number
Continue.
5? The tips number 5.
Okay.
Can you tell us?
Number five is code switching. We may use code switching, but it is better to avoid code mixing. Why? Because when we use code mixing, it shows that we are not able to choose the appropriate vocabularies. Right?
Oh, yeah, I see. But sometimes we use code mixing, right? When we talk about something with the other, sometimes in our everyday life, right?
Yes, we often to do it.
So I think start from now, we must change our habit to use code mixing. Maybe we can use
Yes.
code switching, but we must minimize the use of code mixing in our daily communication. That is interesting
Right.
tips.
Yes.
Okay. That's all about our conversation related to the role of Bahasa Indonesia in our everyday communication. And now, it is the time of vocabulary. Let's learn some vocabularies and how to use it in a sentence. The first vocabulary is?
Okay, the first vocabulary is official language. Official language is the language that accepted by a country's government, is taught in school, used in court of law, etc. For example, Bahasa Indonesia is official language in our country. And the next vocabulary is?
Okay, the second one is inaugurated. To put someone or something into an official position with a ceremony. For the example, Bahasa Indonesia was inaugurated as the national language after the proclamation of Indonesian independence. And the next vocabulary is?
Okay, the next is standard language. Standard language is a variety of languages that contrast with vernacular forms, including geographical and socioeconomic dialects. For example, we have to use standard language in formal occasion. Next.
And the next is casual language. Casual language is an informal language that commonly used in daily communication. For the example, we prefer use casual language than standard language. And the next?
Okay, next, paradigm. Paradigm is a set of theories that explain the way a particular subject is understood at a particular time. For the example, there is a paradigm that standard language is too formal. And the next.
And the last one is slang. Slang is very informal language that is usually spoken rather than written, used especially by particular groups of people. For the example, we often use slang when we have conversation with our friends. Okay, that's all about the role of Bahasa Indonesia in everyday communication. So, do you have an unforgettable experience about the use of language? You can give your opinion in the chat box, yeah? And
see you on the other episode of Talk with EMAS. See you next time.
bye-bye.